Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to discuss solving multi-step equations. The best way to do this, once you understand the basic one-step equation, the best way to do this is to just review some problems. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to review some problems, go over how you do specific examples. We're going to start with these right over here. We're going to do this one. This is a two-step equation. You have a multiplication and a subtraction, right? 7k minus 14 equals 42. So you have a multiplication and a subtraction. And what you should do to move it over first, you should do the minus 14 and move that over first. A good rule of thumb is you have your order of operations. You have your order of operations, which we use PEMDAS or GEMDAS, right? P or a G, is do the opposite of PEMDAS. So do your addition and subtraction first, your multiplication and division, your exponents. It's not necessarily something you need to do all the time, but if you keep in mind that you do the addition and subtraction first, it will make solving multi-step equations a little bit easier. For instance, if we go back to here, we have our multiplication and our subtraction, so we're going to do that subtraction first. So the opposite of subtraction is addition, so we're going to add 14 to both sides. And I know some of you learned to draw the line there at the equals marks, because what you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. So that's going to give us 7k over here, and it equals 42 plus 14 is 56. And now since we see this multiplication, remember two things next to each other is multiplication. Do the opposite, which is division. So we're going to divide the 7 out because we're solving for k. So 7 divided by 7 is 1k. We can just write k. And 56 divided by 7 is 8. So k equals 8. If we take this problem and we can check our work, and we solved it and we have k equals 8 to check our work, check. We're going to substitute our value in for the k and solve this and see if we get 42. So 7 times 8 is 56, and 56 minus 14 is 42. So 42 equals 42. So that's our answer. I'm going to want you guys to do this. If you're in my class, you need to do the check. I need to see your work, and then you need to check everything. So I need to see every step laid out. So if we go back here and do this one, we're solving for B. So we have this 24 that we mean to move over. If there's no sign in front of it, when there's no sign in front of it, that means this is positive. So the opposite of positive is subtract. So again, since a lot of us learn to do this line, I'll do the line as well. So you're going to subtract 24 from both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. And again, I'm not going to start with this multiplication, 4 times b. I'm going to start with the addition or the subtraction. In this case, I need to subtract. So negative 12 minus 24 is negative 36 equals, this is 0. 24 minus 24 is 0. That's why we do the opposite to remove it. And then, so all we have is 4b. And then I divide both sides by 4. Negative 36 divided by 4 is negative 9 equals b. And I can do the same thing. I can check it, and I'm going to check it one more time. Actually, I'll check this one over here once, and then I'm going to stop checking it. But you have to check it when you do these solving equations. You have to check it because I need to see your work. So now we're going to do this one. We have a division, a subtraction. So we're going to do this one. We have a division and a subtraction. So again, it'd be easiest if we move the subtraction over. Opposite of PEMDAS. So instead of minus 12, we're going to do plus 12. Over here we have r divided by 4. And over here, negative 5 plus 12 is 7. So now we have a division left over, r divided by 4. To move the bottom number of a fraction to the other side, it's multiplication. The opposite of division is multiplication. So this becomes 1, and we just have r equals 28. So now I'll take this one and I'll check it one last time. So it's r divided by 4 minus 12 equals negative 5. So this is the problem, and this was our answer. So to check it, I'm going to put 28. I'm going to substitute 28 in for r. And see if we get negative 5. 28 divided by r is 7. 7 minus 12 is negative 5 equals negative 5. So our answer is right. We're doing here, when we check it, we practice our substitution, substituting this value in for r, and then we practice our order of operations. So it's a lot of math practice when you check it, which is why you guys have to check it. Now let's do a couple more of these. Unfortunately, again, all I can do is show you examples, and then you're going to work on it and send me your work. You know, if you're in my class, you need to send me your work. Let's check. All right, let's do this one. Let's do this one. So we're solving for a. We have a multiplication and addition. I'm going to do the subtraction from both sides first. 9 minus 13 is negative 4 equals 4a. I'm going to divide. This is multiplication, so I'm going to divide by 4. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1 equals a. So this one, multiplication and subtraction. So the opposite of the subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. It's important to always remember that if you do one thing to one side, you have to do it to the other side. 13 plus 2 is 15, and over here you just have 5m. And then this is multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication is division. You do something to one side, you have to do it to the other side. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And then 5 divided by 5 is 1, so that just gives us our m. So let's do another one with the division in it. So we have a division and a subtraction. We're solving for y. We're going to do this one first. Again, we want to remember to start with our addition or subtraction. So we're going to start with this negative 6. The opposite of subtract is add. Over here we have negative 1/3 y equals negative 11 plus 6 is negative 5. This negative 1/3 y, I'm going to write it on a different screen here. So this negative 1/3 y equals negative 5. This is the same thing as negative y over 3 equals negative 5. All right, so you can think of it like this, or you can think of it like this. Either one is right. So let's think of it like this. Let's think of it like this for now, the bottom number of a fraction, and move it over. Since it's negative, we want to take this negative over with it. So we want to multiply both sides by negative 3. This negative 3 times negative 1/3, 1 over 3, 1/3. This negative 3 times negative 1/3 will give us positive y equals negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. Let's do a different problem. I'm going to set up this problem. Let's do this one. So again, negative 1/4 y equals 10. So we want to move this bottom number. Again, this bottom number we're going to say is this negative 4. So we get rid of the negative. So if we multiply everything, both sides, by negative 4. So negative 4 times negative 1 over 4 is technically 4/4 y, because you multiply the top number. And then since you have to do it to both sides, so I put the parentheses around there, this would be negative 40. And 4 over 4 is 1, which is y. I might do a separate video with multiplying with the fractions. But just remember, multiply the bottom number to move the fraction. I'll do one more. So let's do this one. We have 3/4 y equals 5. So there's different ways to do it, but since we're reviewing what we did in the last problem, let's do it the same way. The bottom number of a fraction, to move it over, you have to multiply. Bottom number of a fraction, because a fraction is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply 4 to both sides. That would make these cancel out, and you just have 3y. Over here, 5 times 4 is 20. So if we divide by 3, our final answer would be y equals 20 over 3. We can make it a decimal if we wanted. We'll just keep it as that fraction. So we multiply by the bottom number, and then we left with this, and we divide, because this is division, and then when we're left with this is multiplication, so we divide. I'm going to do one more. Let's do one more like this, and let's make it a -2. But instead this time, instead of multiplying by this -4, the bottom number of a division, the bottom number of a fraction, it's division, the opposite's multiplication, we're just going to multiply by 4. So this and this are going to cancel, and that leaves us -3. And 12 times 4 is 48. And then we're going to divide by the -3, because we want this negative out. So this becomes positive y, and this becomes -16. Alright, there's a different way you can do these, but let's focus on this, and we'll worry about multiplying the inverse later. But let's do it this way. Multiply the bottom number of a fraction, and then divide the top number. We'll do a couple more of these. This one, actually, you can do this 2 different ways. I'm going to show you both ways with both of these problems. This is multiplication, and it's multiplying to the whole thing. The way I like to do these is to distribute the 3 first, just because distributing property is something that you're going to see through the whole year, and you need to get used to multiplying it. So 3 times y is 3y, 3 times 5 is 15, equals 21. Now we're back to a 2-step equation. We just move this 15 over by the opposite, which in this case is subtract. So we have 3y equals 6, and then divide by 3. Y equals 2. The other way to do it is, since this is just multiplying, you can do the opposite of multiplying, which is division. You can divide that 7 out at the start. This cancels, and you're left with p minus 3 equals 35 divided by 7 is 5. And then you move the minus 3 over, so that would be plus 3. And p equals 8. This is quicker, but I prefer if you distribute first. So -48. 6 times v is 6v, 6 times 2 is 12. And then after you distribute, it just turns into a 2-step equation. So how do you move a plus 12 over? You subtract. -48 minus 12 is -60. And on this side you have 6v. This is multiplication. How do you move them? What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. And you have v equals -60 divided by 6 is -10. Good, we're going to do one of these with the fraction. We'll do 2 of these, and then we'll call it quits. So you're starting off with a big fraction. So to move the bottom number of a fraction over, you multiply it. Because this is the big fraction, a big division, we can't subtract first, right? this is a fraction, you can't just move out the 3. You're going to have to make it not a fraction first. And to do that, you multiply by the bottom number of the bar, the bottom number of the fraction, which is a 2. So we're going to multiply 2 to both sides. That cancels this, and it's no longer a fraction. And 5 times 2 is 10. And now we just move over the plus 3. We make it a minus 3. And x equals 7. So this one is the same way. Again, it's a big fraction, so we have to move that bottom number over by multiplication. You're left with a minus 4 equals negative 21. Because these cancel, negative c times 3 is negative 21. I move the minus 4 over by plus 4. A equals negative 17. Again, this is a big fraction. Let me show you. So this is to show you the difference. This is a big fraction, and you want to move the bottom number of the fraction over first. You can't move this over. This one is a fraction, and then it's plus 1. So in this one, the next step would just be to move this 1 over and then multiply by the bottom number. Here, since the whole thing on this side is a big fraction, you have to take care of this fraction first. So we're going to multiply the 2 first. That gets rid of this, and you're left with k plus 1 equals 10, and then minus 1, k equals 9. Because this isn't one big fraction, I mean, it's one fraction here plus 1. You want to move this 1 over by subtracting it, and you're left with your fraction equals 4. And then now you can take care of the fraction by multiplying it by the bottom number. So k equals 8. Great. I think I am going to stop there. Remember, if you're doing this for me in my class, you need to show me all your steps of solving it, and then you need to check it. So substitute the value that you got in for the original question, and then solve it. I'm going to show you exactly what I want. I'm going to give you one example of exactly what you want, what I want to see on your sheet of paper when you send it to me. I'm going to use this one. 7 minus 2y equals negative 3. We're going to open this up. So this is what I want to see. First, I want you to solve for this y. So I need to move this 7 over. There's nothing in front of it, so that means it's positive. So I'm going to subtract 7. So this is 0, and I have negative 2y over here. And over here, negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. This is negative 2y equals negative 10. This is multiplication, so I want to divide this negative 2 out. Negative 2. So this becomes positive y. Negative divided by negative is positive. And again, negative divided by negative is positive. So that's my answer. I'm going to box my answer. And then next to the problem, I'm going to substitute this in using a parentheses. And then I'm going to go over, do order of operations on this. So I know my first step is to multiply. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. And now 7 minus 10 is negative 3. And negative 3 equals negative 3, so I know I'm correct. So I want to see both of these steps for each of these problems on a sheet of paper. Write the problem out, solve it with all your steps, and then substitute that value in, and then do order of operations with all your steps. That's what I need to see. And if you're in my class, this is all the work that you need to do. If there's any particular problem that you're having problems with, let me know, and I could make a video on the harder, trickier ones. I would go over more. I just don't know what's needed, which ones are hard and which ones are easy. So if you tell me which ones gave you problems, we'll go over it. And also probably be one more equation video upcoming with more than 3 steps. But we'll see. It depends on how difficult this worksheet is for you guys. Thanks. That'll be it for today.